Hello dear friends, as we continue this beautiful season of Advent, I want to take you right into the heart of the readings for the second Sunday of Advent. Because today we are reflecting on what I am calling the purifying visitation, a theme that draws us into the very deep spiritual work of what we need to do in the second week, listening, allowing God to purify our hearts, our desires, and entering into Isaiah's dream of a reconciled, fraternal world. In the very first reading from the prophet Isaiah, he offers one of the most breathtaking visions in all of the Bible. Nations, he sees, streaming together towards the mountain of the Lord. He sees people who once were opposed one another, now setting down their weapons, and they are transforming their swords into the plowshares. He has the dream of fraternity, a world where humanity is healed, united, renewed by God's presence. But this dream doesn't simply fall out of the sky, doesn't happen like this. It becomes possible only when our own hearts are first purified and when they are aligned with God's visitation. That's why in the Gospel Jesus tells his own disciples, "Stay awake, for you do not know the day nor the hour when the Lord, the Son of God, will come." He's not trying to frighten us, he's trying to awaken us. Because the truth is that God is always visiting us. He's speaking, He's guiding, He's inviting. But many of us simply are not listening carefully enough. That's why Advent is essentially a season of listening. Listening doesn't mean simply hearing the sounds or hearing the words. It means rather creating the space in our own hearts. It's about becoming attuned to God's subtle movements. It's about letting His Word to rearrange my own priorities, to shape my own desires. This kind of deep listening is quite difficult today because our lives are filled with a lot of noise. Our devices, phones, buzz constantly. Notifications demand our attention. We scroll endlessly. We multitask constantly. We hear everything, a lot, but we truly listen to almost nothing. And that's where John the Baptist becomes such a central figure this Advent, because John the Baptist calls out, prepare the way for the Lord. And that preparation is not about elaborate rituals, about dramatic gestures. It's about purification, letting God sweep out the dust in the corners of my heart. It's about surrendering my own old resentments. It's about letting go of interior clutter. It's about making room for grace. The dream of fraternity that Isaiah describes begins precisely here, in my heart, in my home, in my relationships, in my daily decisions. So you cannot beat swords into plowshares unless you're still holding, if you are still holding onto grudges. You cannot become an instrument of peace if your heart is filled with noise or with bitterness. Because God's visitation purifies us. Our attentive listening prepares the way for Him to come in. So how do we begin? Well, I prepared 3 very simple steps, very practical steps that can shape our Advent second week and help us to open our hearts to God's purifying presence. First, carve out a small pocket of silence every day, 4 minutes, but take it, turn off your phone, take a deep breath and simply say and repeat, "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening now." Silence is the workshop where God sharpens the ear and the heart. Now second is about examining your relationships, seeking reconciliation where it's needed. And is there someone you need to forgive? Someone with whom you need to speak again? someone you've quietly avoided? Well, Isaiah's dream of fraternity begins with small acts of peace, reconciliation, first in our immediate circles. And finally, third one, simplify your desires. Ask God in prayer, what desire in me needs purification? What longing in me needs to be reordered to be more towards you, God? A heart which is cluttered with competing attachments can't listen well. So here is the heart of the message. God is coming. God is visiting you and me, not only at the end of time or in major life moments. God is visiting constantly. Advent is the time of shaking us gently and saying, wake up, listen, prepare, make the room. Allow Him to purify the heart so we can help build the world which Isaiah describes. A world healed, reconciled by the presence of God, the cooperation of the people. And if this message touches you, take one moment from today, in the next couple of days as well, to sit in silence and pray, Lord, your servant is listening. That simple act is the doorway into our purification, into fraternity, into Advent itself. May the Lord bless you and keep your heart awake, attentive, and full of hope as we begin this second week of Adventtide.